someone who's felt lost or overwhelmed while trying to get fit, I made this video for you because I understand this feeling all too well. I'm gonna share with you exactly what I would do if I were to completely restart my fitness journey. First thing I would do is not compare myself. This was by far the biggest hurdle that I've ever faced, and to this day, I still struggle with it. This was something that really held me back for a long time. As I've grown older and gotten closer to Christ, I started feeling really convicted about having these feelings, but I didn't know how to stop having them. What I've learned throughout my fitness journey is that comparison really is the thief of joy. When you compare yourself to others, you're losing focus of the only fitness journey that actually matters, which is your own. You'll also find that progress turns into pressure, because your mind isn't focused on you and your health, it's focused on achieving a certain physique that you saw on somebody else. This is completely detrimental. And sometimes, if you're anything like how I was, you can be so caught up in working out just to look a certain way that you don't even realize you're hindering your own results. First truth is everybody's different. Second truth, everybody was made different. That's what makes you unique. And because you're unique, don't waste your time trying to become someone else. If you're just starting out and working out is pretty new to you, my best advice that I could give to you is focus on your health, not your body. If you crush this first and foremost, it already puts you ahead of most. And if I could go back in time, this would be one of the first things that I got control of. The second thing I would do is shift my focus from perfection to consistency. This is another mindset shift that will instantly change your fitness game. I struggled with this big time. If all you're doing is striving for perfection, you're gonna be disappointed 100% of the time. Having had the perfectionist mindset myself my entire running career, I can straight up tell you I was never satisfied. I constantly strived for more, and all this did was keep me from experiencing the joy from what really were small wins. But I blinded myself into thinking I needed to be better. When you're first starting out, you're gonna be out of shape. And there's nothing wrong with that, because we obviously all have to start from somewhere. The only way you're truly gonna get to where you wanna be is if you're consistent, not perfect. Don't expect every workout to be flawless. That's one thing I need you to remember. You're not always gonna wanna work out or go to the gym. But on those days especially, it's important that you show up anyway, because this type of mindset is what's going to give you your results. Even if you don't do the exact workout that you had written out that day, it doesn't matter. It takes the pressure off you feeling the need to follow a schedule. You don't need this perfect plan to follow, because if you don't follow it, chances are you're probably gonna feel like a failure. For instance, if you had a HIIT workout plan for that day, but instead you ran 20 minutes outside or on the treadmill, that's not a failure. That's you choosing consistency over perfection. Remember, it's always better to do something than nothing. The third thing I do is prioritize my diet over exercise and not vice versa. At the end of the day, your diet's gonna matter more than how much you exercise. I remember how obsessed I would be with the idea of working out all the time and going to the gym. But then I would come home and not put that same amount of effort into refueling myself. I just thought, well, it's okay because I was at the gym for 2 hours and I worked out and I had a hard workout. Like, this isn't gonna stop my progress. I am telling you, if I took my diet as serious as I did my workouts, I would have had different results. Now, my diet wasn't extremely poor. I did eat well. I just mean that I could have improved in terms of being more intentional about it. Like taking my vitamins every day instead of like twice a week, making sure I had enough protein, or even eating enough in general. My problem a lot of the time was simply not eating enough. My body would feel weaker and weaker over time because I was training, but not prioritizing my nutrition. This actually led to a stress fracture my senior year of high school. I remember the doctor looked me right in the eyes and he told me that the reason this happened is because I was doing too much and not eating enough. It's not healthy to go to the gym or come home from it and not eat. A lot of people think it helps with losing weight, but it's actually making you weaker. Your body literally requires it. This is something that I really advise every single beginner to be mindful of too. Don't get caught up in going to the gym every single day and expect results if you're not putting that same amount of effort into your eating habits. Without the proper amounts of proteins, vitamins, or balanced meals, your metabolism is gonna slow down and your muscles won't recover properly. Simply put, you can't out-train bad eating habits. Progress always starts in the kitchen, not in the gym. Also, stick with healthy foods that you actually like. Don't force yourself to eat something if you don't enjoy it. This process doesn't have to feel forced or unenjoyable. Have fun with it. It'll go a long way. The fourth thing I would do if I were to completely restart is set realistic goals. This actually matters a lot, especially when you're in the very, very beginning of your fitness journey and looking to see improvement. What I wish I understood, don't ask me how I didn't understand it, I don't even know, but there's a big difference in setting goals and setting realistic goals. The goals you set are either gonna make or break your progress. And if they're too unrealistic, you're gonna be discouraged when you can't meet them. What you wanna do, especially in the beginning, is set super achievable goals. In fact, make them so achievable that it makes you excited to go into the gym because you know in your mind that you're gonna be able to reach them. For example, if you've never been to the gym or it's just been a really long time since you've been there, start out with lighter weights, fewer reps, and fewer sets. The more realistic you are about your goal setting, the more momentum you're gonna keep building up, and this will help you keep going in the right direction. The last thing you wanna do is go from 0 to 100 and expect yourself to do now what you should only be able to do in like 4 to 6 months. The fifth thing I would do is learn and apply the importance of proper form and technique. Spoiler alert, you probably knew this. Overtraining isn't the only way people get injured. Although it is the leading cause, improper form can also injure you. If I could go back in time, I would stop myself from trying to focus on just lifting heavy, and I would take the time to learn proper form and technique. Fun fact, I actually didn't realize this until I got into college, but for years, I had been squatting wrong, apparently. I didn't know that there was a wrong way to squat, but apparently there is because I was doing it wrong. My trainer was actually the one that corrected me, and because it had gone on so long, I now have low back pain because of it. So proper form and technique is very, very important. Once you feel comfortable with the movements, then add the weights. It's better to take your time knowing that you're doing it right than to do it wrong with heavier weights. Good form will make your workouts much more effective. You'll also see faster results too. This is one of the biggest shortcuts to real and sustainable results. Tackle this first. The sixth thing I do is eliminate all negative self-talk. Now this kind of goes hand in hand with comparing yourself, but I felt like it was necessary to make it its own point because it's considered one of my biggest regrets that I didn't put a stop to sooner. The last thing you want to do is tear yourself down when you're starting out. If you don't fix this early on, you're gonna carry it with you and then it'll be harder to stop. Your brain is shaped by the way that you talk to yourself. And that's why the Bible tells us to take every thought captive. Because the more you speak negatively to yourself, your brain is gonna begin treating those thoughts as facts, and the term for this is called neuroplasticity. This describes the process of your brain rewiring itself based on how you think. The more you think a certain thought, like I can't do it, or I'm not good enough, or whatever it is, this is strengthening that neural pathway connected to self-doubt. The good news though is that we actually have the ability to create new neural pathways. When you find yourself having a negative thought, immediately stop and ask yourself, is this actually true? Because having awareness is the first step. You can't change what you don't notice. If you find that you're frustrated because you don't know how to use a machine or you're out of breath during a cardio workout, don't tell yourself that you're bad at it. Tell yourself that you're new and that you're just learning, because that's the real truth. Of course you're out of breath. Of course you don't know how to use the machine. You're literally just getting started. Nobody knows what they're doing when they first start something. And the last thing I would do is treating fitness as a lifestyle instead of a job. Are you using fitness because you don't like what you see in the mirror? Or are you using it for a punishment because of what you ate? Because if you are, don't do that anymore. That makes working out another task that you have to check off your list. Your life is probably busy enough, whether you're a mom, you're working full time, you're starting a business. You don't need another chore. Change your mindset about working out. Instead of saying I have to do this, shift your perspective and think, I get to do this. Gratitude is gonna be your secret weapon here. My whole life pretty much, track was a job to me. Competing at the college level actually sucked the love I had right out of me. I totally stopped letting myself enjoy it. There was scholarship money involved and tons of pressure to perform at a certain level, so I just became burned out. In fact, as time went on, I actually began to resent it. Not because I hated track, but I hated the way I was forcing myself to view it. I think about this often, and sometimes I wish that I could go back and just enjoy it. But we all have a reason we want want to start working out. So my question to you is, what is yours? Is it because you enjoy it and you want to be healthy? Or are you seeing it as another job that you have to do? However you view this process, it's going to dictate whether or not you even stick with it. You remember what I said earlier about brains? We have the ability to control our minds and how we think. It won't happen instantly, but we can begin to work towards it. And remember that God is always going to be on your side. He will be your biggest helper as you go through this. Anyways, that wraps this video up. I really hope that you were able to take some of this advice with you and it helped encourage you to maybe start looking at your fitness journey a little bit different. Remember to take it one day at a time, have grace for yourself, and enjoy the process. God bless.